My name is Lauren Heine, and welcome to Doing Business. Hello and welcome to the Doing Business podcast. Doing Business is powered by Payforce by FairMoney. We all know that it's not easy to run a business in Nigeria, but we want to use the Doing Business podcast to shed light on those that are still trying and still succeed. Today on Doing Business, we'll be speaking with Mrs. Kemi Aturamu, the managing director of Nuts About Cakes. Tell me about the funniest design people ask for. I feel there's a couple of things that...
They have asked for a couple. The last time I think I saw a burger.
Burger cake.
Yeah, it was, and it turned out really well.
So why don't you give us a quick introduction about who you are, about the journey of yourself, and then we're going to what the business actually does.
Hi Lauren. So my name is Kemi Aturamu. I'm currently the MD at Nuts About Cakes. I'm sure everybody knows Mrs. Madekudum is the CEO as well and founder. So I've been at Nuts About Cakes for 8 years. That was after I left. I finished school, Covenant University, in 2010, accounting major.
So you're responsible for the whole business, right?
I am.
So profitability, growth,
Yes.
all of the costs.
Yes, exactly. So being an accountant and having the background in the accounting, I think it makes me see things differently, and then I'm able to do things more, I think it gradually. I want to make sure every single step has been followed before I do something. I know for a lot of people, they just see a decision and then just, let's just do this. But then I want to see it like, you have to give me a SMART goal to you come up with a new product. Tell me, how do you think this will do? And why do you think people would want you to have this? So it makes them think more, like the management team, and so before they bring an idea to me, they have to actually think it through, because they know that I would ask them, just like Mrs. Madekudum used to do to me.
Right.
Because I would have to have had every question that she would ask me, I would have it, and then she would say, okay, so Kemi, how do you think this? So I have to have had every single answer ready for her. So yeah, that's how we run everything right now. Yeah.
So it's very data driven. You're running the business.
Yes. Data is so important. I think recently we found that out, and I think I was hammering on it a lot when I was a manager. I was like, yeah, we need data. And so I think one of the things we did was get like an ERP system to help with that. So it's been really helpful.
So I'm curious to speak about the ERP system,
Oh yeah.
But we'll do that after. Maybe
definitely.
just for the listener, we can speak a bit about the business. We're curious to learn about the journey. So you mentioned you started there in 2015, but I think the business was already existing at that time.
Yes, it was. So Mrs. Madekudum, it was her passion, baking, really. She finished from the university in the UK. She did masters in international business, and she came. So obviously, as a Nigerian, you expect, she work in a big corporation, which she was already doing. But she saw that she had passion for baking. Like her mom used to bake, and then so she also had passion for it. So she started baking little cookies, and just selling it to her friends, and they really loved it. So from there, she started a company called Nuts About Nuts, which was a sole proprietorship, yeah. And then from there, she was basically just doing cookies, muffins, and brownies. And then she opened her store in Lekki, so it wasn't it was just a small store. Then eventually, I think by 2007, she made it a limited liability company.
So she started the company.
Yeah, she started a company. Yeah,
So,
it's Nuts About Cakes.
Right.
Yeah, the Nuts About Nuts was confusing a lot of people because they expected us to have nuts in all our products, right? So yeah, she decided to change the name to Nuts About Cakes, and then started I think she had a store in VI before, and then that was before I joined anyways. So by the time I joined, she had Lekki and Osakba Sekumo.
Right.
Yeah, so we had those branches.
So these were the 3 branches they had when you joined. And maybe you can tell us, where are you now? We'll go through the journey, but I'm curious to learn a bit about the scale of the business.
After a while, we had to close down our Musokwa branch because for the malls, apparently, you had to pay in dollars. And then was when the whole FX situation started happening. So every time, like it was almost every quarter, we had to do like payments in FX or converted to FX. And for a small business that had just started growing,
extremely hard.
Yeah, it was extremely hard. So we made a decision. We looked at our numbers and said, look, this isn't working out. So we got a store close by, which was Agungi, and that was doing perfectly well. So most of our customers from Asokma just moved to our Agungi store. Yeah, and from there we opened our VI store. We opened the Bagada store. So we had the Ikoyi store before originally as well. Sorry, I forgot about that. But due to some issues with the government, it was broken down without, like, we tried everything, but they just came one day and they just bought a couple of stores around there. So we lost the Ikoyi store as well. But eventually, I think last year, we opened another one.
In Ikoyi?
Yeah.
Right.
On our lower road. So we had a lot of customers from the mainland as well. But like delivery costs was now becoming an issue for people, because if you want to buy from Lekki and I have to deliver to somewhere like Ikeja, it's going to cost you like maybe 4,000 to buy a cake, or maybe 10,000 or 12,000. So we thought, how can we help our customers, right? And then we decided to open branches for them at various places on the mainland as well. We got one in Bagada, one in Ikeja, one in Surulere, and one in Yaba. So we call them the express stores. So they are like quick, just come in, get your cake and go. You can place your order, but it's mostly for you just want to get a cake immediately.
That you have already ordered at that time?
No, you don't have to. Okay. So we have them baked down and then decorated, and you just come. We have a decorator in-house and just tell, oh, I want to write a message on this cake. You can choose a cake. If you don't like a particular decoration we have, just let the decorator know. He'll decorate one for you in about 10 to 15 minutes and you're good to go.
Interesting. So how many stores do you have today?
We have about 7.
7 stores. Okay.
Yeah.
And they're all in Lagos, or?
They're all in Lagos for now. But
right.
Yeah. Hopefully we get to go outside Lagos, because we have people asking us sometimes, oh, are you coming to Abuja? Are you going to Port Harcourt? So hopefully, maybe next year or so.
In the roadmap.
Yes, the roadmap.
Okay,
Definitely.
Interesting. So tell us about, you mentioned to me that you have different kind of stores and you also have production sites.
Yeah, so we have the production hubs. That's Lekki and Ikeja. So we produce from Ikeja as well. Lekki is our main store. So majority, about 60% of our production comes from Lekki Phase 1. But we also have our Ikeja hub as well. That caters to most of the mainland stores. Just because of logistics, it's easier for me to move from Ikeja to Surulere and then you can get your cakes baked every single day. Like you want it fresh, right? So moving from Lekki most times to all these other stores every day was becoming like a bit of a challenge. So we decided, why not from Ikeja? And then Ikeja can cater to everybody on the mainland as well. So that's what we've done for the past year now. Yeah.
Right. So you have 2 production hubs, and then you have shops that are basically getting the delivery from the production hubs every day, and then you have clients that walk in and basically buy and place orders.
Yes, definitely.
Interesting. And how about online? I'm sure you also sell online.
Yes, we do sell online. Instagram has become really popular right now. A lot of people just see maybe a product on your Instagram page and then say, oh, can I get this cake? Or they see an ad that you just placed and they didn't know about that product before. So they just come from that ad and they say, oh, can I have this product? Or can I get something similar? We have the telesales, which deals with basically just online, people that don't want to walk in. So that's phone calls, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and I think that's basically it. We just opened TikTok now, so I don't know for the Gen Zs. But yeah, that's what we have. And then our website as well. So we did our website recently to make it easier and more customer friendly. So you can just go there, click on what you want, and it's easy for you. You can design your own cakes from there, and then we'll have it delivered to you. So.
And roughly how many clients, if you think about it, come through the stores versus come from online? Is it a big channel for you online?
Online, yeah, it is. It's should be about 60-40.
Oh,
so,
wow.
yeah.
60 offline, 40 online.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a very, very big component of your business.
It is. We have different customers, ones that come in to place orders, like they want to actually sit with a decorator or a salesperson to discuss their cakes. They want to have all the details set out, and there are people that will just call and say, oh, look, I need this cake for my child. This is what it looks like. I'm going to send you a picture. Please, let's get it. So there are people who are very particular.
Okay. And let's talk a bit about the product that you sold. So I think we understand how you increased your spread going from your first branch to opening 7-8 branches, logistics centers. Let's talk a bit about the evolution of the actual product you sell. So you mentioned you started with nuts, about nuts.
Yeah, so it was cookies and muffins and brownies. And then we started doing cakes, pastries, and bread.
Right.
Which is what we still currently do. We had to put a hold on our pastries last year, unfortunately, because we're trying to figure out how to work that back into our system. It was becoming a bit difficult, especially with the price, the FX going up and things like that. So, and it was it's very low margin compared to the cakes, really. So, but we're working it back, and we will bring it back this year.
So am I right if I'm thinking about, that's just my interpretation, or I'm curious, am I right if I'm thinking about the cake as a product where you actually sell a cake but also a service? Because it sounds like there's a big component of how to design the cake, what to write on it. There seems to be like a human service element there.
Yes, definitely. So we deal a lot in customized cakes. People want a cake that would look like a car or a bag so they're really big into things like that. Like, you'd be surprised. Like, people I think it's the surprise when you see someone that's thought out like what your cake is going to be like, and then maybe it has to be your profession, and then you get a cake that's like engineering based and things like that. So
tell me about, sorry, I need to interrupt. Tell me about the funniest design people ask for. I'm sure there's a couple of things that
they have asked for. A couple. The last time I think I saw a burger.
A burger cake.
Yeah, it was, and it turned out really well. We do have a lot of people who want strange looking cakes, but I think the burger cake kind of stuck out to me because we had to do the whole the bun and the lettuce and things like that. Yeah. So we did a huge cake for Deeper Life last year. So it was almost how 6 feet?
6 feet, yeah.
Yeah, 6 feet high, wide and long. So it was massive. And it was Noah's Ark, so it was themed. So we had Noah, the Ark, and then all the little animals and trees going. Yeah, so it was quite. So every year they come up with a theme and say, this is what we want this year. This year, I think last year the year before was the Noah's Ark. So last year was the Bible with a huge candle on it.
So if I think about the product that you described, so it sounds like the cake is really in the middle of your product offering. So is that the main product that you're selling, and maybe margins are highest, or also you get most orders? So that's the main product there.
The cake is definitely the main product.
How do I think about your business in terms of sort of organization? So you must have a lot of different employees that do different things. Can you talk us a bit through who's working with you?
So for our managers, we have the internal audit. That's Mr. Vincent. He makes sure everything is up to par. Like, if I'm going to buy something, he has to approve that this thing is needed.
Right.
And then once it's bought, he has to also say, I've confirmed that I've received this product, and make sure all our assets are safeguarded and things like that. So that's a very important person to have in the company.
Internal police, basically.
Basically,
Yes.
a lot of people are afraid of him. So it also checks on the revenue assurance as well, just to make sure what you've been given in every store is what you sold, and if there's any issues, he's the one calling the store to say, oh, something doesn't add up, let me know what's going on. So basically, yes, it's our internal police. We have the accountant who you met, and that used to be my role as well. That's an accountant is important anywhere. So we have one role that came up recently was not recently, but in the past 4 years that wasn't there when I joined, was our QC, quality control. And we realized it's so important. Someone who checks and makes sure that all the products that leave the company are up to par, and basically make sure nobody is selling cakes that maybe have gone bad or things like that.
Right.
Make sure, so he's the one constantly checking, okay, this was produced this day, it's meant to be out of the shelf by today, so he's making sure all the stores have everything fresh. And so we also have our brand and innovation manager,
who's doing Instagram, all of the marketing components. Okay.
Basically. We have our procurement manager. That's the person that has a relationship with all our suppliers.
Outside and inside of the country.
Yes.
Right.
So in store, we have a salesperson and a decorator.
Right. Every store has a decorator.
Every store has
and the decorator does, what's the job description of the decorator?
Decorates the cakes.
The cakes, not the store.
Not the store. So because we want to give every store fresh cakes, and we don't want the situation whereby they're keeping cakes for 2 days or 3 days. Once we bake today, we'll send it to the stores, and once a customer comes in, if he will already have cakes decorated, but if a customer wants a different decoration, he can now attend to the customer immediately and say, okay, what would you like? What would you want your cake to look like? And then he's trained to give the customer what they want within 10 to 15 minutes.
Right. Okay. And how about one thing we didn't talk about so much is the actual production, because you must have
product.
Yeah, you must have a baker also, a chef, or how do you call that?
Okay,
the people that do the cakes, that create the cakes.
Yes, we call them the bakers.
Bakers.
Yeah. So our bakers, we have about 10, 12 of them. Yeah, so they are the ones that bake the cakes, the cookies, the muffins, everything that we need. They bake it. We have a production hub, and then they have their own area where they stay, and then the decorators as well have their own space where they decorate. So
right. Okay. So it's all in all, how many people work at Cakes today?
Yeah, about 90.
Okay.
19, yeah.
How do you win in the market in which you are today?
Yeah, good question. For us, what I see recently is branding and marketing. It's very important to our brand. We've had a couple of YouTube ads in the past that really helped us, and so today I get people saying, oh, I remember you guys from the YouTube ads. And sometimes when I even think people don't know us, they refer back to the YouTube ads, where the owner, Mrs. Majakudumi, is going around the stores and just explaining how things work in the store. Yeah. We have a production manager as well, which I forgot to mention. He's the one in charge of the whole production hub.
Right.
Yeah. So also we had a mini series that ran for about 6 episodes, and it was just showing people the day-to-day activities of what we do in our stores, from a customer placing an order. We had a customer who was angry in one of the episodes whose cake hadn't come out on time, and then she was causing a scene. It was really bad. She entered the production store hub just to make sure we were actually doing the cake, and then Mrs. Majakudumi then had to come and just tell her to please wait outside, and then she'd make sure that her cake is out as soon as possible. And then we did everything we could, and she got her cake, and she was happy at the end. So yeah, it was really interesting. I think people getting to see how we actually on a day-to-day basis, where we go, how we go and do our thing. So it was really interesting to see. Yeah.
So it's mainly, so if you think about your business and winning, you think that building the right brand and building the right followership is a critical part of
it. Is, because most of our customers are like our day one customers, people that have been with us for years, no matter what, they have an input into it, which is quite important. Like if they notice something is wrong or they see something is out of place, they feel the need to come and actually tell you because they feel like they are part of your company, business, right? Yeah. The business, which is it's good for our business because if you have people invested in you that way, because there are people who don't know you that well and they don't care, and the first time they have that, they believe that's who you are, and then they made their decision about you and say, no, I'm moving on to the next person. So I think having which is why our quality control has been very critical. Yeah.
So another way to ask the question is actually, what do you see your competitors do wrong? Right, where you say, okay, I know you don't see that today, but I know this is very important. You guys need to focus. Maybe you don't tell them because it's competition, but what do you see others not doing well?
You need to be able to do your margins properly. As an accountant, I know I probably would say that, and people will be like, yeah, but you're coming from an accounting perspective. But if you're not costing properly and doing the right thing, it will, at the end of the day, your bottom line is not going to be favorable to you. Right. You might think you're making sales, but then your products are not, you can't match them up to your sales. And then you're wondering what's going on. At the end of the day, you'll be losing because you don't have a handle on what your people are doing. Because at the end of the day, they're just your employees. So you don't know who is maybe taking your eggs or taking your flour home. Because at the end of the day, the people that work for you also have the same business on the side, and there's really nothing you can do to stop them. Right.
So margins, focus on unit. We call it unit economics. Focus on making money and not
losing money. Okay. So it's very important.
And in your industry, so I'm curious to hear, because in the industry we work in, people start out usually with investment. So you would start a company and then you get investment, and you don't need to necessarily be profitable for the first 3 to 4 years. And people start a business, they need to be profitable from day one? Do you think they have like 1 year time to sort of, get their things in order?
It depends on where they get your investments from, right? So I think for Mrs. Majakudumi, she had family support, people who believed in her business, and so our chairman and our director. Yeah, they're part of the board of the directors involved as well. Yeah. So for them, I think it was easier. But then if you go to like an institution that has no business with you and just wants their money, it might be difficult. They might give you like a 1 year moratorium and say, look, after 1 year, we need our money back. We were lucky enough that we're able to always use our working capital to grow. Yeah. So we try not to go the loan route.
I would have asked, is like working capital is like debt financing from banks, or is that a big thing in the industry, or do people use leverage?
I think so, but our industry has a lot of more people who just bake in their houses. Right. Yeah, and I think the really big ones that have like the cake industries are not like, there are a handful of them. So most of the bakers, just bake from like one kitchen and then have like maybe 10 staff and things like that. So, but the really big ones aren't that, there are very few of us.
Right. Nigeria-wide.
Nigeria-wide.
So your biggest competition is actually not a big other store, it's really the house, small Instagram business.
Exactly.
Interesting. How much time do you guys spend? So one thing that I'm actually just realizing or getting to understand is that the product you're selling it's a physical good, it's something to eat, but it's also a service. You're selling it's sort of like an entertainment.
Yes, definitely.
Kind of good. Yeah. How important is taste? How much time do you spend on taste?
Very important. For cakes, you want it to be soft, you want it to be moist. Our chocolate cakes are the best. Like, people love our chocolate cakes. I think that's one of our huge points in Nuts About Cakes. We also have different flavors. There's the vanilla, there's the red velvet. Those are our 3 most popular, but if I start naming cake flavors, we won't leave here today, but we have a lot of that. And people want it to taste a certain way. But at the same time, we have people who are calling to say, oh, I don't want so much sugar in my cake. Okay. I don't want you to put milk in my cake. I want a vegan cake. Can you make that for me? So we actually cater to all these people.
Different tastes.
Different tastes, yeah. So it's never like one person, one product thing.
Right.
Or everybody one product. So we try and cater to your needs.
Right. So one other thing I would love to discuss with you is a bit the customers, right? So we discussed, the burger cake and like a couple of the Noah's Ark cake, but can you give us an idea of how do you think about customer categorization? So who are the different clients?
We do have, we did a Stanford Seed course about 3 years ago. So Mrs. Maja Kudumi got into like a Stanford Seed program, and it also brings your employees in. You can bring your management staff, and then they come and give you some kind of lessons about.
Is it online? Is it an online course?
No, it's
so you
physical.
went to.
So they have their instructors come from
the US.
Yes.
Oh wow.
And then they come and they take classes for like a while. They come to your company actually. So you get to see them maybe once every quarter. Maybe if the program is running for like a year, they come once every quarter. So in that course, we were able to figure out who our customer segments, people who, so we kind of grouped them. We had like the customers who just come in and they want a cake now. They want you to answer them and say, look, I want this cake now. We have like the perfectionists, people who will sit down and then at every single point of their cake has to be discussed.
Right.
It has to be, I want the top to be yellow. I want the base to be this color. So those are people who are very particular about it. We have those customers as well. We have the people who want to just give somebody, like, they're not looking for anything specific, they just want cake. And they know that you're one of the best. So there are people who also like care about the brand, and they know, okay, I'm buying a cake from Nuts About Cakes. That's why I'm coming here, because people know Nuts About Cakes. So we have people like that as well, and I think we grouped them into 4. I can't remember the 4th category now, but yeah.
So these are the customer types, but how about the events people actually buy cakes for? When do people wake up in the morning and say, okay, today is it birthday is the obvious part.
Birthday is definitely the most that we get.
Okay, so birthday is the number 1 category.
Yes, birthday is the number 1 category. Okay. We have the anniversaries. We have wedding cakes as well.
Right.
What else? Yeah, I think that's basically. But yeah, you have people having cakes just to make a statement now, just to say, "Oh, I'm sorry," or "Forgive me." Yeah.
The sinner cake.
Yeah, exactly. So those are kind of interesting. But yeah, we try to make memorable experiences for our customers.
Okay.
Anyways.
So I'm sure you also must have seen, like, if you give cakes for occasions, you must have seen a couple of, like, what are the stories that that stuck into your mind, the remarkable stories where you think, okay, that's an interesting story cake, or you got to learn the backstory. Tell us a bit about it.
Oh yeah, like I was saying about the church cake. It was so big we couldn't actually make it in our store, so we had to bake like a lot, like, because the cake was it's really big. I can't really describe it. So we baked the cakes from our store, then we go and assemble it at the customer's place. So we had to like literally build an ark there. So it was interesting because we had never done something like that before. And then it took everybody having to sit down and discuss, okay, how are we going to do this? The board is going to go on. They had to do the measurements. The decorator has to tell you, these are what I need. These are things I'm going to need for this thing. So it was kind of like a whole meeting went towards just planning that one cake. So I think that's one of the most interesting cakes I've ever seen, and it was massive. Like, people still see it and say, sorry, how did you do this? It was so big. And then we had like different characters of the Bible, and people till today they call us and say, oh, that cake, people love this so much and they want to know where we got it from, and then we get like a lot of referrals from it.
So we'll speak a little bit about like learning and what your sort of advice to others would be. But are there any other industries you guys are looking at and where you're learning from? So I can give an example. We, our payment product, you're one of our customers. One of the industries I spend a lot of time looking is the FMCG industry, because FMCG has very similar logistical issues or challenges to us, right? We need to deliver terminals across Nigeria. Similar how you eat Indomie in Lagos, but also in Kano and anywhere in between. So that's an industry I spend a lot of time studying. And do you have any comparable industries or businesses that you think, okay, I admire that, and these are challenges that I also have faced or will face?
Well, for us, I think partnering with our suppliers really, because they go through a lot of things we go through, and once something affects them, it definitely affects us.
You.
So we are hoping that we grow to a place where we can partner with these people, and the sales that are coming out that we are getting is actually making a huge impact on whatever their revenue is. Because for them, selling to us is basically regular income that they're getting. They know they're going to get every month from us.
Right.
So recently there's a port issue.
Yeah, we've been affected by that.
Yes, everybody's been affected by that. And it got to the point where something we were using went up to about like 20%, like it went up 20%, and it's one of our main ingredients, like it's sugar. So, and then they're going to be affected. There's nothing they can do about it. And for us, we're like, okay, guys, how are we going to do this? And at the same time, because they're so invested in us, they try and tell us before it even happens, like, oh, do you guys want to like maybe buy a few down because problem is coming. Yes. So we get that information like early from most of our suppliers, and then we like to keep that partnership with them because it helps us a lot. So hopefully we get as big as when they know that they're going to like be connected to us, and then they are getting regular income from
Okay, so suppliers are a big reference for you guys.
Yeah.
So you mentioned one thing that I guess everyone that's starting a business or running a business thinks about constantly, with challenges. It's very difficult to run a business, especially in Nigeria, but generally it's a hard thing to do.
It is.
So I'm curious to talk about challenges that you guys have seen over the last 8 years. Tell me what keeps you up at night? What's the difficult part about running a business like that? Now, in the past, what comes to mind when you hear the word challenges?
Challenges for us has been since, I think it really started after COVID, to be honest. COVID year was quite good for us, to be honest. There's some industries that
were affected by
it, and we were one of the lucky few that wasn't negatively affected by the COVID. And because we sell products that people actually need, like the bread, you would see people actually queuing up, and we're making bread in their numbers like we haven't in years. But right after that, FX issues started, and then most of our products are imported, unfortunately. Like, we don't get most of the products that we use made here in Nigeria. We wish that there will be industries that eventually come up and then help us in Nigeria. But even something as small as sugar, flour was affected, especially when the Ukraine and Russia happened. That affected us seriously.
So do you choose to import these items, or they are just not available in Nigeria? So Dangote doesn't produce any of those. It doesn't.
Yeah. So apparently they refine it here.
Okay.
So they don't actually.
The raw ingredient comes from outside.
Exactly. So for majority of our products, unfortunately, the margarine we use, it's imported as well.
Right.
I've seen, I think there was a day I was trying to figure out what alternative to use, and I was seeing it's actually an African problem. Like, a lot of people in comments from Ghana, from Tanzania were saying, we don't get this in our country as well. We have to import it, and so like things like would normally use like maybe butter for, we have to like just use and improvise and use margarine because that's the cheaper option for us, and because of prices anyways, we have to make do with what we have. But every single month, it's almost like it's gonna get, like, we know that this thing is coming up, but at the same time I can't increase my prices to match this
because consumer don't
consume. Exactly.
Is it a price sensitive industry?
It is.
Right.
It is.
So price is a big component.
Exactly, especially when it is not a need, it's a want. It's not something you can survive without, right? It's for some people they even classify it as a luxury item now. It's been almost classified as that. But the sales we were making pre-COVID, it's not the same as, because you can't really blame people. Like, their buying power has reduced as well.
Right.
Like they even if they want to, they now come and say, oh, maybe somebody that would buy a 20 inches cake will come now and say, oh, can I just have like 10 inches? Can we just make do with that? So basically, I'm getting less revenue because somebody can't afford to buy what they used to buy before. So at the same time, I have to increase my prices. And we try not to do that too much in lots of our cakes. We try maybe once in 2 years when it's necessary, but we had to after COVID because most of our suppliers, their prices went up, some by 50%, some by 100%.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's something that is still a challenge for us because we're trying not to at the same time compromise on our quality and still give customers the best possible product they can get from us, but it's been a bit difficult.
Right.
Yeah.
So I imagine there's a lot of pressure on your procurement person to find local alternatives and try to solve that issue for you guys.
There is. So most of the time he's out looking for alternatives. Like, he's bringing samples from different companies every day saying, oh, this is what. But at the same time, it has to work for us because the quality assurance
can't be compromised.
Yeah, it can't be compromised. So it has to actually be approved. We have like an R&D team who would actually try the product. If it works with our products, fine, we use it. But if not, doesn't mean because it's cheaper we have to compromise. And
do consumers understand it? So if I come to your store and I see that the cake is now say 20-30% more expensive and they come probably to you, at least for some clients that know you personally, and they ask, okay, well, what's happening? Why do you increase prices?
Yeah.
Do they think it's just you squeezing them, or do they understand, hey, look, my raw materials increased?
Exactly. So we try and explain as much to customers when they come in, because they will ask you why, even though they know what is going on. You live in the same country, so they must know.
Yes.
But because most of them, their buying power isn't going up, they don't want to understand. They don't understand why you're increasing your prices.
But it might also be a problem that's not you specific, right? All of your competition buys probably from similar suppliers, so everyone will at one point have to increase
prices,
or they don't understand their business, which is also happening sometimes.
So at the same time, they do. Of course, you have to see what your competitors are doing with the prices, but I think even after that, we've checked and we're still one of the lowest charging, because we try and understand our customers as much as possible. So we cater to them. We have cakes that cater to those who can't afford the really expensive ones.
I've seen this on your website actually. You have like how's it called? Affordable cakes or something.
So we have the short cakes, the sheet cakes, and so our cakes are actually quite high for normal cake sizes, but we try and give customers like a little bit smaller, but at a more affordable price, and they can still get what they want from it, because most of our competitors do that anyways. So we were the ones that were giving people extremely high cakes at one point. But you have the option to buy that or go for the ones that you feel you can afford.
Okay, interesting. What any other challenges? Is FX like your main problem?
Yeah, it is.
How about logistics? You mentioned some of these items.
Logistics has been. We try now to partner with a lot of external logistics companies. Bolt. We have our products on Glovo, but there's so much Glovo can do because they only have bikes, right? So they can only take some of our products, like maybe on ice cakes for customers who don't want their cakes to be iced. They can order from us, or our sliced cakes and things like that. But for a fully customized cake, you can't send it with a bike, so it has to go with a car.
Right.
Yeah, and we let the customers, most of them understand anyways that's how it works. Because if you want your cake in the way you've ordered it and you don't want it smashed or looking, I don't know, you have to
to deliver it in a car. Okay, now we all know it's very difficult to run a business in Nigeria, so the Nigerian factor is notorious, and FX, everyone's struggling. We are struggling with it too. We buy our terminals from China, and so we need to buy them in FX. But of course, none of the clients want to pay more for their terminals because they're also struggling with the same problem we're struggling with. So.
And they still want the best.
And they still so you can now give another terminal. So it's a big issue, and we've been thinking about what happens with the currency for a long time. We also have stuff outside of the country, so we have a big euro cost base. So we are also hurting when the black market rate is moving up or down. So very familiar with the issue. I'm sure many people that are listening know the problem. Let's talk a bit about technology. We mentioned your website. You said almost 40% of your customers come from online.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, if you think about technology, how do you think about it? Where does it matter? Why does technology matter for your business?
Really, I think the world has become very technology driven. I think everybody knows that. Everyone is constantly on their phones now, and you want fast service, really, and people just want send a message and get what they want, and then they deal with whatever they're dealing with in life. So for us, we've seen how important it is. We have devices all over our stores, whether it be iPads, which is what our ERP system, or Windows system as well. So recently we got we saw the importance of having data, and it's through the same technology you can get the data. And our ERP has been really helpful.
Which one are you using, if I'm asking?
We're currently using it's called Bizman.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we're able to impute all our recipes into this Bizman. So it helps me follow up with my inventory. I know what I'm supposed to have. It will flag me when something seems off. When someone has said, I've produced this, but the system is telling me, this is what it's supposed to have produced. At the same time, I have a dashboard that tells me everything I need to know. My sales for the month, my sales for the week, my sales for the previous
per
day.
Store too.
Per
right?
store.
Right.
So it's really been helpful, because data is really king, and then because of that you can make more informed decisions about your company.
So it would tell you which store sells well today, which one doesn't.
And then funny enough, different stores sell different products.
More or less.
And
do you understand why?
We try to find out, to be honest. Maybe our Yaba store will probably sell more of the shortcakes because it's close to Unilag, like the schools.
Yeah.
So a lot of students come in.
Smaller budget.
Yeah, smaller budget, and then so that's what they can afford, and then they buy what they can. Our Agungi store, because it's in a neighborhood where there are a lot of houses, families, it sells a lot of bread. You have people coming.
Daily consumption
for bread. So it really helps us, to be honest, with to make informed decisions. So I know my marketing team, the brand and innovation, know what target to certain areas when they are doing their ads and things like that. So,
okay.
Yeah, so when we're doing maybe activation or things for different stores, our Ikoyi store is in a place where there are offices. So you go to the offices, and then you're trying to make more corporate clients and have more companies come and buy for their staff from you. So at the same time, it also works well when you're put in different areas of the state, so you understand.
So your ERP system is then connected to the business that you actually use to acquire the payment. So how does that work? So the ERP is where the salespeople say I've just sold a cake.
Yeah.
But the payment flow still runs through us or the bank, and both are not actually connected. So you have two tech layers.
I wish they were, because that would make life so much easier. Because if my ERP system also can tell me how much is in my bank and maybe a particular bank account.
Yeah.
And sometimes with the banks, I can't confirm my transfer immediately because I'm not getting the alert. With your system, it has been really helpful, because then the girls can see instantly that their payments have come in, and it's been really helpful. In fact, they've almost dropped most of the bank POSs now because of that. So it's the convenience for them not having to call you every time to say, oh, customer just made the payment and I need to confirm it, because they know they can't do anything without seeing the payments, because now a lot of fake alerts out there, people just selling. So I think.
And how have you seen this evolve? I'm curious. We're in the business of helping. So we always say we're in the business of helping merchants make money. But I'm curious to hear, how has the payment acceptance actually evolved? When you started in 2013, or even when you guys started the business in 2017, my guess is most people came with, they want to pay in cash.
Yes, and we had mostly cash payments.
Do people still pay in cash? Probably.
Probably, but no. It's like maybe 20% of our payments are in cash.
And the rest is
we prefer it that way. The rest is either transfer or POS.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So people either pay with their cards or they want to transfer. So it has evolved. Now we have USSD. We have the payment terminals that can actually confirm your payments immediately. We didn't have that 3-4 years ago. We didn't have that, and it became an issue for us, because having 2-3 people in the accounts department confirm for people daily, and we're talking hundreds of payments that are coming in, and then someone is actually doing their work but has to leave that work to come and say, oh look, I've seen the payment, and then 5 minutes later another comes in. So after a while, maybe the accountant starts to pile up the transfer confirmation, so the sales girl can't actually do her work, because if she can't confirm the payments, the customer can't get what they want until they see the payment. So it becomes really tedious and everything becomes slow. So once this payment solutions came up, and in fact they love it so much, the sales girls, and the sales girls actually have power over which bank gets more money.
We always, that's why would have been my next question. So actually, we have 2 people to sell to, like the business owner, but the one they actually take the decision is actually the salesperson.
Yes, because sometimes when banks will call us and say, oh, you see you haven't used our POS in like 2 days, and we're like, oh wow. Then we call the sales girl and they're like, no, I don't like that POS. I have an issue with it. They don't want to use it. Yes. So the one that's convenient to them, the one that gives them less hassle, less problems, is what they want. So for them now, having to confirm a customer's payments has gone through without having to call anybody, it's like gold to them, and they love it.
Right. But it's interesting, I didn't actually know that the banks call you to ask, hey, why didn't you use the terminal? I'm not surprised to hear it, but
they do.
Yeah, because they also, they must be,
they have targets to meet as well, because as you know, the terminals cost a lot of money.
Yes.
So for them to actually give you one, that's a lot of money that they've spent on you. When they see that it's not being used, they actually come and say, oh, sorry, we realize that particular terminal is not being used.
Right.
And they somehow know how much is coming in every day.
Oh, I see it.
So they see it. So once it reduces as well, you get your account officer call you and say, oh, sorry, we realize that the money coming in is reduced. What's going on? And I say, oh, sorry, this new system that I have that's making my life better. And they're like, oh, okay, we understand. And then they try and fix something for like maybe 2 days, and then it goes back to what it was before. So
interesting. How about I imagine there must also be a very big component to how you communicate with your client. I'm actually wondering, so when I checked your website, I see there's a WhatsApp line. You have different WhatsApp lines per store. Who's sitting behind that? Who am I speaking with?
So for the store, the sales girl in the store.
In the store.
But like we have a general WhatsApp which goes to our telesales team in Lekki Phase 1. So they're the ones that pick it up. Sometimes they can direct you to a store closest to you if you want that. And if you want to deal with the Lekki store, you can say, oh, I stay here, which store is closest to me? And then they'll give you the WhatsApp number for that store. And you get to speak to the store directly.
Right. I imagine when you have started the business, most of the people, if not everyone, just had to walk in. Right. I mean, even we realize now WhatsApp business is huge, but
it is.
When we started, there was just phone calls.
Yeah, it was just phone calls. But people prefer, because imagine I have to go to work at 8 o'clock and leave by 6, 7, and then I'm thinking, oh, I have to order cake for my daughter's birthday tomorrow. It's easy to just pick up the phone and then just send somebody a message and say, oh, look, this is what I want. And it's really just convenient. Even for us, it's convenient.
Right.
But there's still people who want to come in and just have that one-on-one with the salesperson or with the decorator. So you can't take it all away.
Replace the human element.
Yeah,
it's also like a big purchase, right? So I imagine that will never go away.
Exactly, it will never go away.
Right. I mean, you see, Apple has stores still, right? Because they
experience stores.
Yeah, it's because it's also an expensive. Some people just want to spend $1,000 quickly, and others want to get the whole experience,
Exactly.
Interesting. So another thing I'd love to discuss with you is, so we discussed challenges, but when we discussed before, you mentioned that 60% of your staff is actually female.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. Tell me about that. What's the implication of that for your business? Well, how do you how do you think about that? Is it also intended? You knew the percentage, so you clearly have looked at it, and are you piloting this percentage? How do you think about it?
Well, for the sales girls, it's mostly female people that would literally come at me. We've had, when we were running the cafe, yes, we had some guys who were waiters, but for the sales girls, the people that would attend to you, mostly female,
right,
would apply anyways. For our bakers as well. Like 90% female.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And that is because you choose 90% female bakers, or they are 90% female bakers? So it's just more female. It's more a female-dominated job.
Yeah, it's just a more female-dominated
interesting.
job. Yeah.
And so how does that?
But our decorators are mostly guys.
Yeah, they're there. I'm very surprised to hear.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Like.
Do they have enough eye for detail?
They do.
Ah,
okay. They do. To be honest, you would think that because they love what they're doing, I think it's more of a passion thing for them. So they come up with ideas that sometimes will amaze you, or the customer comes up with the most extravagant thing, and you think, oh, how are we going to do this? And they tell you, don't worry, we will get this done. And then at the end of the day, you see what they've come up with, and you are actually amazed at what they've done and the finishing. So yeah. Of course, there are a few mistakes here and there, and we have different levels of our decorators. We have a particular decorator who's great at she can do flowers with fondant icing, and she can do it perfectly. There are some people who are better with wedding cakes, and your wedding cakes will come out looking gorgeous at the end of the day. There's some people who are better with customized cakes, like when you want to say, oh, I want a bag, or I want a shoe, or things like that. Yeah. So we have different people who cater to different needs. Yeah.
Right. Do you guys spend a lot of time to think about the mission and vision of your business? Is that a relevant concept for you guys?
Yeah, it is. We'll try and let everybody in. During the Stanford Seed program as well, we were able to come up with a new mission and vision.
What's the mission?
Basically to become, to have a Pan-African store. Like just have one store, one at a time, literally. Just have all over Africa as much as we can. I know right now we're still in Lagos, but we want to get everywhere in Africa as well, and that's our plan.
So dominating the business. Okay. Is it an important factor for you to motivate your team, to speak to them about, hey, now we are in this FX problem, but in 5 years we are...
So I find it's better to let your employees know, maybe not 100% of what you're going through, but at least most of it. Tell them, oh, this is what the company is going through. This is why we can't do this, or maybe this is why we have to cut something, or this is why we're adding this. So when they know, they're more empathetic to you and to your business, and they say, okay, they understand. They say, okay, we're actually, if you keep them out of the loop and you don't let them know anything, they just feel like you're trying to sideline them out of everything. And then you see people become very passive. And just bringing them in, just having discussions with them and just carrying them along, I see that it has become, and then letting them have a voice, letting them speak up and say, oh, this is what I feel, and letting them be heard. It's very important to people, no matter who that person is, even as low as the cleaner. You never know, because we realized one time when the sales girls actually talked to people that you send to buy your bread and things like that. Those people actually also choose where you buy your bread from. They make a choice for you, right? They're also your clients. You don't really see them as important because they're saying, oh, they're sending the house boy.
Yeah.
But he's the one that said, oh, I know this place where the bread is really good and I'll go buy it from there. So at the same time, everybody in your company, you want to make them feel as important as you can.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, they can make informed decisions, but feel like they can come to you and talk to you about certain things. I feel it's very important, and the freedom to just, I know most businesses in Nigeria maybe didn't used to work that way before, and we're just trying to change that now. But we see that our employee turnover has been like we've hardly had any person leave since last year. Before it used to be like constant and stuff like that. But now people understand more what's going on, and then you're explaining to them that, look, it's not as easy as it used to be. And maybe before you used to get like a salary increase every 6 months if you're not getting that, but you know the reason why it's not happening, but because of the economy. So
and do you have like how do you engage the whole company? So you mentioned you have like 90 employees. Do you have like we do a town hall once a month where every manager is speaking and saying, okay, we're doing this. Do you have something similar where the salespeople? How do you?
Yeah, so we have a staff meeting every month. That's every
physical staff meeting.
Yes, every last Friday of the month. And in this one, it's mostly the non-management team that speaks.
Okay.
Because we want to hear from them.
Like whom?
So somebody can represent the bakers. Somebody can represent the decorators, and say, this is the issue I'm facing, and these are the constant things that have been keeping me from doing my job well. Or I asked for something last month and it wasn't done. And so there we actually get to hear, because I can't listen to everybody every time. So at that point, people are actually voicing out their issues and whatever it is that they have. Some they can't say that, they go to the HR and they speak to her and they tell her, oh, maybe they were having conflict with another staff, and then they tell her. But then the meetings are very important because people can now voice out and say things that they would normally say to you on a daily basis, and you get to hear from them a lot. So it's minus, and then we have people do presentations. Mrs. Maja is very big on helping people develop themselves. So they give you a topic to speak on. Anything you want, just come and speak on it for 15 minutes before the meeting starts. And it's everybody who's picked at random. So after that, everybody now starts to speak. So managers now listen to what people have to say and then give you a feedback.
So it's very bottom up. It's not top down. This is what we do, but it's more desired change.
Exactly, and it's really helpful.
All right. One other thing we've discussed, and you alluded towards a few times, is learning. So how do you? You mentioned to me before we started that you have there's this habit of, I'm facing this challenge, let me call someone else in the similar position, similar industry.
Yeah.
So that seems to be very big. But how are you thinking about, how are you thinking about developing yourself to be a better version of, running the current business? And where do you get information about how to do that from?
Well, for now, we try to do training for most of our staff. We have a training calendar every year, and the staff has to go for a training. We have people in when I was the accountant, I used to have friends. Majority of my friends are accountants. If I'm facing an issue, I just pick up calls and phone and just say, look, I'm having this issue. How do I sort it? Have you gone through this before? Everybody has different industry, but you never know who can actually have a solution for you. Same thing we have with bakers who call and say, look, I used to use this product before, but now the price is ridiculous. I can't actually maintain it. When you guys must go through the same thing. How do you deal with it? And then we try and give you the best possible. It's not like I'm going to tell you everything, but I just try and give you the best possible solution to our problem. Luckily, we have an R&D department who actually, when we're having issues, we just try and work on things, products, just to see how we can modify it and make it better, or keep it the same way but change a few products inside. So and because of that, I think a lot of people used to come to Magic with me before and ask her a lot of questions, because they probably see her as like
She
the
knows,
guru.
she knows, yes.
Yeah, she knows. She's been there. She's done that. So in the process, she wrote a book, and Baking for Profits. It's a really good book. It's a comprehensive guide to starting and managing a profitable bakery. So inside will tell you how to start if you want to start a small business, and if you want to start something as big as not about cake. Everything is here in this book. She'll tell you how to do your costing, to set the proper margin, and how to pick the proper staff, because staff is important at the end of the day. Because if you have people who are passive and people who don't really care about your business and just coming to do their job,
It won't go
and
anywhere.
then it won't go anywhere. So you have to have people who are also invested in your business, in your growth at the same time. So yeah, it's a really good book to read. And
so the audience for this book is basically everyone that's listening to here too, that thinks about how do I start a bakery.
Yeah, it's very insightful. Like it's like a step-by-step guide to starting your own bakery. So,
Interesting. All right, look, thanks for sharing so much information with us and sharing your story. I'm very impressed, and congrats for what you guys are building. We know it's not easy to do business in Nigeria, but it looks like you cracked it. For everyone that listens, where do we find you? How do I find you?
Well, we have our main store in Lekki Phase 1, and also we have a store in Agungi, and then we have in VI as well, and Ikoyi. That's on Awolowo Road. We have in Yaba, we have in Surulere, and we have in Ikeja as well. You can also reach us on WhatsApp, on Instagram, Facebook. We have people who are dedicated and who would be there to answer your every call at any time. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. Thanks,
Thank you
Kimmy.
so much for having me here.
Join us again for Doing Business, where Nigerian entrepreneurs share their story.